Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I've got another university video coming at you today. This one is going to be specific to Nottingham Trent University, which is the one that I studied at. This is going to be an NTU survival guide. So if you're going to Nottingham Trent in September, this video is definitely for you. So I kind of wanted to break this video down into NTU survival guide in terms of uni. I've also got clubs, pubs and bars, shopping and food. So I'm going to start off with year one, and the survival guide that I want to start off with, tip number one, is to get the new NTU app, which you probably have already know to download, but NTU, when I was there at least, had an app. So you had your timetable on there. They had all online services that you can book, like library services. You can even download your timetable to your calendar phone. So then it will pop up saying, I don't know, employment law seminar 7 till 8. It will also update you if anything changes. So download the NTU app, the Now app, because it will be very useful to you and just make things so much easier to look at your timetable, see where you are, if there's any changes to classrooms, that kind of thing. That's tip number one. Number two is to buy your annual bus ticket in the first 2 weeks of getting to uni, because it is so much cheaper than what they offer it after a certain time period. So it might be up until October, might be like £200 for the bus ticket for a year. And this is mainly for people, say, if, like me, I studied in the city but lived on Clifton campus in first year. That bus was a journey that I had to do every day, twice a day, to get into campus, the city, and for where I studied. I had to have my my bus ticket, which is registered to your student card. You just get on, beep it, you just tap it, it beeps, and you get on the bus. Then when you go there, you go back, you beep it as you get on, as opposed to paying each time. So yeah, definitely get your bus ticket within the first 2 weeks of starting uni, because it is so much cheaper. And if you leave it any longer, then it will just end up annoying yourself that you didn't get it 2 weeks ago when it was a lot cheaper. Another tip that I would say is to use the library services in your first year, specifically Boots Library in City Centre is an amazing library. It's really big, it's full of loads of different student services, services. So they offer, like I've mentioned before, services all about how to citate your work properly, so you know how to reference, citate, do your bibliographies and everything like that. Do that in your first year, because they won't forgive it in the second year or the third year. Like I've mentioned before, get those mistakes out the way in first year. And specifically for NTU, they offer all those services about how to reference your work properly. Use those services the library offer in your first year. The next tip is get used to the smell of weed, pretty much, because it became second nature to me. I'm not someone that smokes weed, I'm not against people doing it, I just have not smelt weed so strong and for such a long period of time than when I did in my first year of uni living in halls. Because let's face it, you're students, you're away from your parents, you do whatever it is that you do, so get used to that smell, because it was literally like my home scent when I lived in my accommodation in first year. And the last thing for survival guide for year one, at least, is to find your second year house early. And like I've said before, I know I've said this in other videos, but they start the housing fair pretty early on, or maybe 2 months into starting uni. And like I've mentioned, when I was in my first year, I started in September. We had our uni house in the November. So, no, it was November. It was near Christmas, so we really didn't wait long, and we actually went through a kind of a private landlord, which links me on to my year 2 survival guide, which is you might hear a bad reputation about certain areas in Nottingham. St Anne's got a really bad rep, and that's where I ended up living in my second and third year of uni. We found this house which was perfect for us 4 girls. It was £71 rent a week with bills included, which is the cheapest rent I've ever heard of. and none of us girls knew Nottingham at all, nor lived in Nottingham before this. So St Anne's, what is St Anne's? I hadn't heard of this area before until we got our house, and people saying, oh my god, it's so dodgy there, people carry knives, people do this, it's really a bad area. St Anne's isn't as bad as what people make out, and it's where the cheapest rent is, I think, because the name's got a bad rep. But where we were, I can say now where I lived because I don't live there anymore. We lived on Abbotsford Drive, number 151, Abbotsford Drive, and it was more residential, wasn't really a student area. There was 1 or 2 student houses dotted around it, but it was more residential, and it is 5 minutes away from Nottingham city centre, 5 minutes away from Victoria Centre, like 2 minutes away from Glass House, which if you're looking at second year accommodation or first year accommodation, Glass House is up there with one of the most expensive. I know they've brought in a new accommodation just as I was leaving uni, which I don't know what that's called, or whether it's Glass House renovated, but when I was there, Glass House was the best accommodation and the most expensive. And my house that I had was literally 2 minutes away from that, and a quarter of the rent for what they were asking. So if you're thinking about staying in Glass House, I mean, if your parents are paying for it, by all means, go in Glass House. It's a student accommodation flat, so you've got security on the bottom floor. You don't have security in a house, obviously, but I mean, Glass House isn't everything. I've been inside those flats. One of my friends lived there. Yes, it's nice. Is it worth the money? No, I quite preferred my house. I prefer living in a house than a flat. So yeah, have a look around. Don't just go for the first thing that you see at the housing fair. See other private landlords. Shop around a bit, because we were quite lucky that we got rent so cheap. I think they just upped it as we left to £79, which was still the cheapest rent that I've ever heard of. So yes, definitely shop around when you come to houses. Don't just settle, make sure to research the area, but also take it with a pinch of salt as well, because if you ended up staying in St Anne's, it's not the end of the world. We had no trouble when we were living there. Year 2 survival guide tip is to take advantage of the opportunities that Trent offers you. Trent offers so many opportunities. They offer day trips out, opportunities for you to be a student ambassador, so it's a chance to get a job. They will pay you for that, and it's also something to put in your CV that you've been a student ambassador, the skills that possesses whilst getting paid. It isn't a weekly job, it's kind of as and when you're needed, so you're not constantly having to work all the time. So that's a tip if you were looking for work but not something strenuous. A student ambassador, one of my best friends did that, and she did that maybe a couple times a month, and she got paid pretty well for that. To take advantage of that opportunity that Trent offers to become a student ambassador, they also offer to become a student tutor, to also be an academic rep for the year. That's another great thing to put on your CV, to be an academic rep. Like I said before, the law firm also offers you to join the legal advice centre. Do that in your second year, do it in your first year really. Try and get 2-3 years experience of voluntary or some experience or something other than what you're just studying. And like I said, Trent offers so many different things, so keep an eye out on your NTU Now app as to what things they're actually posting on there, what trips they're offering, and what positions that you can also be a part of as well, because they might also be paid. And summer internships, graduate schemes, they post loads of things all the time. Another thing is for your second year, well, in your first year as well, but I discovered it more in my second year when I had the house, is also shop around for your gym memberships. Don't just have to be a part of the student gyms, there are other ones dotted around. The one that I was a part of in my second and third year of uni was called The Gym. It's as you come out of Victoria Centre, you have the big Cafe Nero, and it is the gym next to that. Which is also very convenient. It was on my way into uni, on the way out of uni, so I could go to the gym before going into the uni lectures, and then after my lectures I could go to the gym and then come home. So shop around for your gym memberships. Also pay for your gym memberships annually, because they will be so much cheaper doing it that way than if you were to pay for it monthly. But personally, I do recommend the gym because it has so much equipment. It's you have to have a PIN code as you go in, so it's very safe, very secure. Not anybody can just walk in. You have to go in, enter your personal PIN code to get into the gym and to get out of the gym. So that's another tip. And the only one that I would say really for third year that I can think of is to book your library rooms and tables in advance. In your second and third year, you will be living in the Boots library or on the Clifton campus library. Because it gets intense, you need to use the computers, the printers, the books, the resources, the data that they have, the people in the library, and have a space outside of the house that you can go and study. But in order to do that, you need to book sometimes a private study room, a room that has a computer in so you can practice presentations. They get booked up so quickly. If you know you have a presentation coming up and you want to book one of the study rooms with a plasma TV and a whiteboard, that can get booked up all day for like 2 or 3 days. So look at a week or 4 days in advance if you have something big coming up like that, and be proactive and book something, because they do get booked up and people can take advantage of that opportunity. Why not? You've got a room to study in. And a lot of people just kind of, them and their housemates in their third year will come out of their house, they're sick of studying in the house, go to the library, bring some snacks, some blankets, their laptops, maybe put a movie on and chill in the study rooms for a couple of hours, because it just gets you out of the house and it makes you feel more productive. So book your library rooms and study rooms in advance, definitely. So the fun bit, the bit you're probably actually interested in, the clubs, pubs and bars for Nottingham. Let's start with the clubs. When I was there, I don't know whether they've changed the nights now, whether the nightclubs have changed, but you have on a Monday Pom Pom, which is very, I mean, I went to Pom Pom like once or twice, to be honest, that really in freshers and refreshers. Pom Pom has 2 different rooms. You have more of like generic music, they're more R&B. A lot of clubs are like that in Knots, where you have a cheese room and an R&B room. You would find me in the R&B room. I can stand a little bit of cheese for like an hour, then I'm over it. Pom Pom was all right. It's not the biggest club. It was all right. If you wanted to go out on a Monday, student night was Monday for Pom Pom. Tuesday, no idea. Wednesday, Ocean. Ocean is a fancy dress nightclub that you have to go in fancy dress every Wednesday. So be prepared, have your fancy dresses like backed up. We also have, which I'll move on into shopping, but we have a fancy dress shop called Love Your Babes, and that will be your go-to shopping place when you go to Ocean, because you want to get your fancy dress outfit ready for Ocean Wednesdays. And another tip, when you go to Ocean, when it hits midnight, everyone will start stripping off, and that is because at midnight in Ocean, you take off your top and you swing around your top to the Baywatch theme tune. For whatever reason, that is just the tradition. It's the thing that you do when you go to Ocean Wednesdays. You take your top off, make sure you put on a nice bra and swing your shirt around. That is Ocean. Thursday student night is Rock City, my favourite club. It has 2 rooms. It has 2 rooms. The main room is well, it's kind of like meant to be rock, but it's not. It's more general chant music, and then you've got the R&B room as well. Rock City is great. It has that classic like Mr. Brightside music in your main centre stage room, which is like classic student club music really. Rock City is great. Thursday seems to be the night that people go out as a student in Nottingham, from my experience anyway. So yeah, Rock City on a Thursday, definitely recommend it. On a Friday you had Prism. Prism has about 5 to 7 rooms. I again went to Prism probably twice for freshers and refreshers. was smashed both times, so I don't really remember prison, but I think I enjoyed it. Clubs that I can remember, you've also got Stealth and Ink. Both are more indie druggy clubs, to be honest with you, and that's not my scene at all. So I actually never went to Stealth or Ink. Fun fact, for Halloween a couple of years ago, I had intentions of going into Ink. I was in the queue ready to get in, and yeah, I just realised as I was stood in that queue that I was way too drunk and I didn't even make it into the club. I went home. So those are the clubs. In terms of the pubs, you've got a couple of Lloyd's. The one that I'm thinking of, which is the better one, is I don't know, I'm trying to think what's around it. I mainly went at night, but it's in city centre as you go past Zara, and it's essentially not the one opposite the tram stop, not that one. It's a smaller one, it's a bit more dressy, and it's kind of the place that we would go to get some pictures after, like, I don't know, the Goose Fair or after the Christmas light switch on, because Nottingham does an amazing Christmas market, so definitely go to that whilst you're there. And we would always go to that pub afterwards. Another great pub, which is like beautiful aesthetically, is the Canal House, which is on the canal, and it has lots of like picnic benches outside. It has fairy lights above you, and yeah, it's just a great place for in the summer if you just want to go day drinking, go for a couple of drinks by the canal with the fairy lights. There's loads of room, and they have a few spaces inside, but really you go for the outside. So Canal House is a great pub to go to. And then you've got the Gooseberry Bush, which is again another Wetherspoons, and that is, as you've got the STU, is that what it's called? Student Union, I can't remember what it's called, in city centre, of the building opposite the Boots Library. It's just up the main road on a slight hill, and that's where that's the kind of the pub that people go to after their exams. A lot of exams will be in the STU, I can't remember that's what it's called, STU, let's go with that, like the sports halls. So as soon as you finish your exams, that is the closest pub to there, so a lot of people go to that pub after exams, and it's a Wetherspoons, it's the same as any old Wetherspoons, but that's another pub that I would recommend. And then in terms of bars, I've got a couple. Some are more studenty, some are more if you want to come away from the student scene so much and have a bit more of a dressier, like go for a couple of drinks at a bar. So I'll start with the student ones. You've got Revs and Slug and Lettuce, and then you've got a place called Kaluna, which is definitely more of your Instagram bar. It's got the neon lights. It's a bit smaller, but it's recently just had a makeover. I've not seen it, but when I was there it was really cute. They did a cocktail that had like candy floss on the side, so you kind of even melt the candy floss into the cocktails, like that kind of place. Like I said, very Instagrammable, so you've got that kind of bar, which is a little less studenty. And then you've got a bar called Penny Lane, which is essentially an arcade games place that you can go drinking. Also very Instagrammable, that's slightly less studenty, I suppose. And you've got a place called Picture and Piano, which if you're looking for definitely more classier drinks, is a beautiful place to go to. Picture and Piano is a converted church, so it's now a bar, but you still got all the features of the church. So you've got the stained glass window, it's a huge place, so you've got a couple of floors, so you've got some seating on the second floor, but the ground floor you've got really nice bars. It's not really studenty at all, so if you and your girls are looking for a bar that you can go to come away from the student life a little bit, get a bit dressed up, have a couple of cocktails, then Picture and Piano is a great place to go. Now moving on to food places, and I've broken this down into shopping and meals. So food shopping, we've got a big Aldi. The Aldi is literally next door to Glass House, and it's outside the Victoria Centre. And then you've also got a Tesco Express within the city. Victoria Centre, you've got some smaller Tesco Expresses as well. We've got small Sainsbury's, but the big supermarkets in the city centre is Aldi, which is great for us students. In terms of meals, Slug and Lettuce do, which is, if you haven't heard of Slug and Lettuce, it's very similar to like Revolutions, do 50% off food on a Monday. So that is something definitely to take advantage of. And then you've got Revolution do great food as well. And then another student-y place is Chunky Chicken. That is on your way back from Prism. It's on the same road as Prism, on the main road of uni really, and you probably wouldn't even acknowledge that it's there during the day, but at night there's a queue. That's the place you go after your night out. We've also got a huge we've also got a couple of McDonald's. We've got a bigger McDonald's which was new to Victoria Centre when I was a student. We were all so glad that we had a McDonald's on the way home from us now. So you've got a Chunky Chicken place if you kind of want your kebabs, your pizzas, your cheesy chips, your chicken wraps. And then you've got the classic McDonald's, which is in the Victoria City Centre as well. In terms of nicer places to go for food, more occasion places, we've got a brunch place called Copper that offers a bottomless brunch. I've spoken about this before, I did it on my 21st. You've also got Revolution to Cuba, which is like, it's a Revs, but it's just a little bit nicer. We've also got a Marco Pierre White Steakhouse, if your parents come and if it's your birthday. I'm trying to think of other really nice places for dinner that I've been in Nottingham. But you've got the classic chain restaurants as well. You've got the Five Guys, Red Dog Saloon, Red's True Barbecue, a Bill's. You've got Prezzo, Bella Italia, Nando's. Like a couple of burger places in Victoria Centre, which I was still being built as I left but is new now, is a healthy junk food place. So you've got somewhere like that as well. And then just another one I thought I'd throw in because I loved it there was a tiny little smoothie bar opposite the gym called Zero that served amazing acai bowls. If you're looking for something to pick you up after the gym, it's opposite it. So as soon as you come out the gym, you've got Zero, so I'd get an acai bowl or a smoothie or a protein shake, and then I would eat that when I got home on the way home. So you kind of walk past McDonald's with your healthy smoothie or acai bowl and feel a little bit less guilty. So Zero's is another great place if you want something a little bit healthier, a little snack after you come out the gym or on your way home from uni. So that's food. And then finally, to finish it off, we've got shopping. So Nottingham is great for shopping. I still go into Nottingham City Centre now to do my shopping if I want a full day out, because it's not that far from where I live. But I don't think I took full advantage of that as a student because it was on my doorstep. But we've got a NTU centre, which is the Victoria Centre, and currently now there was an old shopping centre called Broadmarsh, which was a little bit further out of the city centre, but definitely walking distance still. That has now been rebuilt and is looking to be made into another shopping centre. So you've got two big shopping centres in Nottingham, as well as lots of outside shops. You've got a Primark, which has two floors, which is actually a really great Primark. So you've got inside shopping and outside shopping, so it doesn't have to be weather dependent. So you've got inside bits and outside bits. Like I said, you've got the Primark, and you've got a mixture of low end and high end shops as well. So you've got your Primarks, your New Looks, your Topshops, your River Islands, Zara's, and then you also have your All Saints, your Flannels, 18 Montrose, which is a designer kind of boutique place, your Fred Perry's, Kurt Geiger's, those kind of high street designers as well. So Nottingham really does have it all in terms of shopping. There's so many food places. There's a place called Canal House, which within that has a crazy mini golf. So that's a great thing to do in terms of days out. It's got a cinema within that. A little bit further out from the city centre, more towards Clifton campus, we have a cinema which has sofas in it, like reclinable sofas. That's another cool thing that Nottingham has. And I think that is everything in terms of my Nottingham Trent University survival guide. I've given a slight lowdown of the clubs, pubs and bars to go to, food places, where to do food shopping, where to go out for some meals, where's good for shopping, and also some tips and some advice about things to expect in your first, second and third year as well. So I thought I'd just do a video more specifically to Nottingham Trent University and to Nottingham as an area to be in as a student. I hope everybody's enjoyed this video. If you want videos more in depth that aren't about Nottingham Trent, about your first, second and third year, please watch my university playlist, and I'll also be creating more videos. I have so many ideas about what to do about university. I have more topics to talk about. I'll be talking more specifically about my degree. So if you're studying business law or business, then stay tuned, because I will be telling you some advice about that too. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.